side. So, I understand her scheming, but that's going to come back and bite her. You know it.
I'm here for it. Abigail Brand and Maria Hill are my type of women because they just do what needs to be done sometimes. They don't mind being the bad guy. I always
Mm.
respect a person who knows I am the bad guy, but I'm okay with it.
I didn't notice that you like those types of characters until you recently said that. I
All right, hello guys. We are back to another episode of another relaunch. I am Keenan.
What's up, y'all? I am LZ.
And how are you this week, LZ?
I'm good. This week kind of flew by. I've been really, really busy. Um,
Uh, I
Work
agree with this.
has been so stressful.
I also agree with
um,
that part.
it's been really busy. They don't tell you about this part about being an adult.
I can see why. Honestly, because I would not have agreed to it whatsoever.
I had so many comics this week.
Oh my gosh, I had 16 comic books on my pull list, which I'm not talking about 16 comic books today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know
Some
that.
people might have to get kicked back.
But I'll make mention of some things. But yeah, the pull list is getting a lot bigger, kind of.
I mean,
And
there's
I
been
don't
some
know.
solid stuff out.
Everything's really good, right?
Yeah. They've been putting out some good stuff.
With that, let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, we're going to talk about Robin #4, and it's from Joshua Williamson, and we had a guest artist this issue. It was Jorge Corona. Now, I thought this issue was fine. I'm gonna let that be known, but I also think I'm going to drop this book.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like my Connor hype has kind of died down, and I'm back to remembering I don't like Damien.
Oh, okay, damn.
It is
I don't mind Damien.
and it's a book about Damien.
Mm-hmm.
So
Damien is Robin.
it's just and there was 2 panels of Connor on this one, and I was just like, oh, why am I reading this book? I don't care about Robin.
Yeah.
But he's on this island, a part of this big tournament death match that's going on. He has been rescued by his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, and he's just kind of told Damien about what's been going on. They go through some talking points and training sessions, which is kind of cute to see.
Yeah.
And, back on the main island, we have Rose Wilson Ravager. She's looking for Damien, and she's kind of talking to some of the other assassins on the island, and one of them kills her, which officially starts the tournament because all of the assassins had to die at least once for the tournament to begin.
I think it was Respawn. What's his name? He kind of looks like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like Deadpool.
Yeah, it looks like Deadpool, Deathstroke, who looks like Deadpool, or who looks like Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That whole little motif going on, but it's black and red. He's kind of weird. She might be looking for him. That's what it seems like.
Mm.
There was some dialogue back and forth where she says she's on the island specifically looking for someone she thinks she found after coming into contact with her. She walks away. He slices her stomach open or something like that. She's dead. Damien is working to get back to the tournament. Doing so, he gets tracked by a couple of people. Turns out it's Nightwing, spoiler, Red Hood, and Tim.
And Tim, I know that's right.
Does he have a code name?
That's a good question. It was changed a while back, but we don't like to talk about that name.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just going back to Red Robin or just Robin. I don't know.
Okay.
He's just another Robin.
He's just another Robin.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I call him Red. I call him Red Robin, but who knows? It is
I don't
official.
like that name either. I don't like.
He needs his own code name.
He can't use Sparrow. Is Sparrow taken? Does that not
It's
fit
not.
in the motif?
No, it would have fit. That's great. Let's get the title card ready.
But I don't know. Yeah, so I think the book is great. I think It's very well written. I think the guest artist was very competent. Again, I think the stuff with Damien and the grandfather was nice, and it was nice to see his point of view and how he sees Damien now. He's like, you're a demon, but you're also a fighter and a human little boy.
Yeah, a
And
detective and a demon.
yeah,
And I like the
so
cameo of the Bat family at the end. That was really cool.
yeah, it's nice to see Jason. I really like that they're going back to integrating him into the family.
Yeah,
He's always gonna kind of be like the black sheep, but like
that's his
they're
thing.
not fighting when they see him, so that's great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
cool.
think I'm gonna stick with this through like this first arc. I am a fan of Damien on teams. I'm not sure how I want to read like a whole solo about him yet. I thought I did, but I don't know yet. So far when reading this, and it's not to say that this is bad or anything.
No, it's very
It's
good.
really
It's
good.
entertaining. It's an
Yes.
island full of assassins.
Duh.
What's that gonna appeal to me about that, Damien? Um, so we'll see. I'm excited to see Connor pop back up and finally like help him get off this island or whatever's going on with that. I think that's what it is. I would also like the story to move a little bit faster. We're 3 issues in and now the tournament's just starting. How long is this first arc? 6 issues?
I'd assume that the tournament probably won't start until issue 6.
See, we're playing. What would you rate this issue?
I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Agreed. Next up on our list, a new number one. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I did not read this. So this
That's
is
fine.
my first.
You did not have
But
to.
Icon and Rocket number one. Tell us all about it. Who wrote? Who did this? Who did the
This this was by Reginald Hudlin and art by Leon Chills. And I was underwhelmed, to say the least. I have been a big fan of the Milestone characters and that Milestone universe, and I am starting to think that like this whole relaunch has just been kind of underwhelming a little. You know, we had a Milestone panel before where we talked about how legendary and iconic the writers were and all of the people who kind of created this, but we didn't necessarily need to have them back on the books because there's a certain voice that they would bring to it that is kind of dated, and that's exactly what happened here. And I mean, Reginald Hudlin was a part of the original, like I'm pretty sure he created Icon and Rocket, so I understand him coming back to this and like doing all that, but it just, I don't know, it felt so dated. Like I get that he wanted to have a moment in this book where Rocket was supposed to kind of be speaking with Icon. So for those who don't know, Rocket is a young girl. She's like a high schooler, I would say maybe like junior, senior year or something like that. She's an older girl. And she is like a regular girl. Like she's really just like, like your home girl. And she gets into trouble. Her backstory is she gets into trouble and she tries to break and rob Icon, but she doesn't realize that he is an alien. And she gets like inspired to like do right when she sees him fly because she had never seen anybody do that before, and she feels like he could be able to do anything, and that's kind of what inspires her to be a superhero, and she in turn like inspires him to be a superhero. And the series originally was just called Icon, but Rocket was the actual like star of it and the one who you kind of follow through. Icon has a more conservative viewpoint than others, but I think that was a point at the time anyway, that Icon was to be the like conservative black man to compare to Rocket's more like liberal homegirl. And and like you were supposed to see those conflicts between the two of them, and like you see Icon growing up, that kind of stuff there. But with this, she didn't seem like, I don't know, she didn't seem to have a lot of her own authority. She was like trying to impress some boys, and that was the reason why she decided to break in and steal from Icon. So I didn't really like that at all. And the reason that they wanted to become superheroes, she just like randomly thought about it. So like in this story, you see the entire backstory of Icon. Icon was also like the exact same backstory as Superman. He's like an alien from a different planet, and his rocket like crash landed on Earth, but it crash landed on Earth like during slavery, and yeah, yeah. So his ship like took the form of whoever was going to touch it at first, and it was a slave, this female woman, a slave, and she touched it, and she named him Augustus. And he like basically grew up there, but like never aged later. And he ended up having this very like pull your strap up from the bootstraps kind of mentality. And yeah, so they kind of retell that story in this. So you get a rehash of that.
That was his mentality after being a slave?
After being raised by one. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is that too far-fetched from some people that are real in real life?
No, it's not.
I mean,
yeah. Okay. So, I mean,
this was kind of disappointing, I will say.
Would you recommend? So you wouldn't recommend this to like people trying to get in a milestone?
Maybe because maybe this just maybe isn't for me, but I would recommend this to people with milestone with the caveat that so this is different. Like realize that this is kind of its own kind of universe.
Okay.
Whereas I was under the impression that this would kind of be like, sure, you would revamp some of their origins and stuff, but you would kind of pick up where the previous milestone stuff kind of left off and go from there. But this seems like it's really a complete like start from the ground.
Okay. What would you rate it?
I would give this like a 2 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
The art was good, and the coloring was also really good. But I just wasn't really into the changes that they made to the characters to kind of fit whatever they're trying to rebuild these characters into. And the writing, like the dialogue was very cringy. The guy, when they were pulling off the heist in the beginning, like the kids and the way that they were trying to speak sounds like what a 45-year-old man thinks kids sound like today. But they think they sound like kids from the 90s.
Okay.
So like they're trying to like the way that the kids would talk to each other wasn't the way that kids today would talk to each other.
I see what you're saying. It's not very okay. I can understand that. So is this a finite series? Is it like 1 of 6 or 1 of 8?
So they're doing these things in seasons. So I don't know what that means if they bring in like a new team with the next season. But this is season 1, number 1. Static had I think that's only 10 issues. And then I'm assuming the next season starts after that. But this doesn't have a kind of an ending number. But we'll see.
Okay. Well, chugging along the milestone train, the next one up on our list is Static number 2. I also, unfortunately, did not read this one. So tell us all about it.
Well, keeping on to that milestone trend, I will say again that this kind of touched on what we did talk about during that milestone panel that we had a while back, where there is a difference between what a newer writer would bring to like a milestone character versus what just bringing the kind of the older milestone writers back to bring this book back into life. But with Vita and their writing, I think I have to accept that they just don't bring that punch that I'm looking for. Because I've expressed that before in
you said it a couple times in like New
Mutants. And some of their other works too. Like there was some Future State books that they wrote. It's just always like kind of just missing, just like something that like turns it up. Yeah. And with this,
So you say there's still some action in the book.
Yeah, definitely. So
It's
this book opens up with them. So that previous issue, Hot Streak would burn down Static's home,
mhm.
and Static like does this really cool science moment where he like breaks down how he can like make a force field and like use his static electricity to kind of get the blast away from his house. Pretty really cool moment, and I love the science, but it also ends up changing Static's origin. So his parents end up like seeing him use his powers. So there is no secret anymore as far as like a secret identity. But I did think that it was really cool to see the conversation that his parents end up having. It felt like one that my parents have had before,
Yeah.
and where his mom and dad are arguing over what he should do with his powers. And how he wants to use them and what he should be using them for. The dad is afraid of him using them because he's afraid of him getting hurt. And his mom is I think she's in medicine. I don't know if she's a doctor or if she's a nurse, but I know that she's in medicine, and she is more okay with him doing it. So I thought that the
Mhm.
family moments were pretty interesting. And his sister is like, trying to be there for him, but like no one's really listening to him. So these moments were interesting and really good. Again, Vita gets like the character moments, but
Mhm.
like I guess I'm missing like that punch there.
That punch. Okay. Okay. What would you rate it?
This wasn't that bad. I would give this a 3 out of 5. Some of the stuff in it was a little too convenient for me
Mhm.
because he randomly has a teacher who you've never seen their face before, who was his like physics teacher from last summer that they say, who taught him all of this stuff that he knows, where he's like pulling out all of these tricks. And he calls this teacher and is like, "Oh, I need help," and he instantly just tells him like, "I got powers and all this other stuff." And then the teacher is like, "Hey, you can go and use my old storage locker. It might have some stuff in there to help you." And when he goes and finds the storage locker, it's got like all these suits for him and like all these devices for him to use. It's like, okay, how did he have all this stuff? So
Okay.
some of the stuff was a little too convenient, but it's
Yeah.
comics, so whatever.
Okay. So are you gonna stick with this for the entirety of the 10 issues?
I'm not sure if I'll stick with it for the entirety of the 10 issues. I may pop back in sometime later. Um, we'll see. I think they are getting a new artist on this, which is interesting because I'm not the biggest fan of the artist on this. I love their designs. I absolutely love what they've done with Static and like his hair and all that stuff, but I'm not the biggest fan of like this kind of anime stylish art.
Okay.
Even though I love anime, but
Not your
I'm
comics.
I'm not really liking the way that this is drawn in the comic. I would like something a little bit different.
Okay. All right. Well, that's static number two. Let's move gears a little bit. Let's go over to Daredevil number 32. Now, is Elektra still like the lead of this book?
hmm
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
still here.
Yeah, that's why I stopped reading.
Yeah,
But this is from
I was looking at my
Zdarsky.
list of this on Comixology, and I was like, how long have I been reading Daredevil? And I literally popped in when she was Elektra. So then when she
Yeah,
leave, I'm out.
and that's probably when I'll jump back in. Uh, but this is from Zdarsky, Chip Zdarsky, and Marco Checchetto. Tell us what's going on in Elektra's world.
A Daredevil, as we have to call her now because she's wearing the mask. And everything right now it's interesting the way that they've been bringing Bullseye back because this
Hmm.
issue is that. So Bullseye returned last issue and he's basically been going on a killing streak, but it's not a secret. So like the entire city like locks down, and on the news they say like
Oh,
everyone like please stay in your homes, like Bullseye's out and he's like on a killing spree. So it's interesting to
okay.
see that like it's like out in the open and like people know that this is going on. You even see like I think it was a Human Torch or some kind of fire character like fly by, and there's a comment about how the superheroes are like doing a search
Out looking
throughout,
for him.
out looking for them. Yeah, a Spider-Man swings by. Even Spider-Man stops and finds Daredevil and is like, "Oh, I figured this was you. It's Elektra, isn't it?" And Elektra holds up her side and was like, "It's obviously not a secret. Like, what other person do you know uses these?" And they have a little chat, and so which I thought was really cute. Matt is still in jail, and he's dealing with everything there. He's trying to figure out how. I think he's going to be an FBI informant, and so that one little girl that ran away before from Elektra that she had kind of trained, she ends up coming back, and she's like, I'm sorry for running away. That was just a lot for me. And Elektra is like,
she's like 6.
I swear she was older when this started. And Elektra's like, it's okay, you're weak. And
okay.
Elektra's like, no, it's fine because so am I. Like, we have strengths and weaknesses in different places. And she like sits and tells her that, like, I thought it was as simple as like just making you get faster, but like not everybody works the same way that I do. So she's like trying to, learn a little bit from that. But of course, then she ends up finding out where Bullseye is. They end up having a really cool fight, and turns out that like Bullseye, there's 3 of them because she's fighting one and she was about to kill him, but changes her mind because she's Daredevil. And then of course, like one stabs her in the back, and then you realize that she's surrounded by like 3 Bullseyes. So I guess we'll find out who these other Bullseye are, if he's got clones, what's going on.
Okay. What would you rate this?
I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 for sure.
Okay.
Solid.
Sounds interesting. I mean, I think it's great for the Elektra fans. I just
great work for Elektra right now, and as she's been Daredevil.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Elektra, you should definitely go check that out.
I picked that up.
Next up on our list is the Eternals number. What is this? 5, 6?
6.
6. Yeah, 6. And this is from Kieran Gillen and Esad Ribic, and it is, I don't know if I'm going to be an Eternals fan when this book is over, like if someone else comes on. But right now, I'm an Eternals fan.
Absolutely. This is one of my easily top 4 books.
And I am enjoying it.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this issue, we discovered last issue that Phastos is the traitor and that he brought Thanos back, and he's like killing the machine that resurrects the Eternals. And so they go to challenge him. We kind of figure out why he's doing that. He's learned this big secret about it. So they fight a little bit. The Eternals are like working together. It looks really good. Cersei is creating fungus, making them grow on Thanos. Really cool. Kingo's looking good. Icarus is just himself and powerful. Gilgamesh is like just pummeling him and throwing him into a portal. And then so we see that because of the machine, the world is being destroyed. And so Icarus goes to like protect some folks and stop the threat. He ends up dying in the process. Then we get back to Phastos, and we also see that Icarus is going through his resurrection process, and we discover that when the Eternals are resurrected, a human dies. And so for those who have been reading the series, you know that Icarus was like been connected to this little boy named Toby Robson, who he's like been sent to protect. And we find out like this resurrection of Icarus has killed Toby. And it's like, damn,
right?
like when I flipped the page, and I was like, oh nah.
I was like, damn.
I was like, that's messed up. I was like, this is sad. But throughout all of this process, the Eternals are talking to like Cersei and Athena and Kingo and all of them, and like we find out that they figured they've known this like multiple times, and Cersei kind of
like, I been knew.
like I been knew, and she was like, whatever, like we just gotta get over it.
I love her.
Yeah, she is. That's my girl. She was like, I got a party to go to, which was like making me think was like at a different party. Was she talking about the Hellfire Gala?
Oh, it probably was the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah,
wasn't she there?
She was there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So I was like, oh, that was cute if that's what she was talking about. But yeah, that's happening. And so again, I'm here for this book.
It's a really great series. I I really like the fact that the way that they use telepathy in this and the way that like Kieran broke it down. I assume that is a superpower that he is a fan of because that one data page that kind of broke down their consciousness and like what level of your consciousness and how difficult it is for a telepath to get into that was really, really cool. I thought that was really dope. And when Cersei just kind of revealed that, she had already known and that she said that like you've had your minds wiped before whenever we've gone to the Unimind to like talk about this and like figure out whatever. Every time you've just had your minds wiped and gone over it, but like I just live with it because
whatever.
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna?
She
We
was
would
like-
outlive them anyway.
Yeah, like you said, like they're gonna die.
Right.
So love a pragmatic woman, but yeah, I'm just like the
Then
art.
they
of
end up
this
going
is
to the
good.
deviants to go. It looks like to get some kind of assistance on how to live.
Yeah, and like not kill humans, hopefully. Because I would hate to be the person who like just wakes up. Well, I guess you don't wake up dead, but you get what I'm saying,
Right?
What would you continue? Oh, I think I would actually give this a 5 out of 5.
Oh, really? Okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna go
like
4.5 out of 5. It was solid. Like, it was
I
really
would.
good.
I don't think they're like I was captivated by this comic book. Like turning the page. I love Riddick's like painted style. I love the like fighting with Thanos. I love the inner monologuing. I loved Fastos and like just kind of the revelation of it. The other Eternal who was using his telepathy to get into his memory to make him forget how to like stop Thanos.
That was cool.
It's just this is good. Like this is interesting. Again, that telepathy consciousness model data page. I like read that like 8 times.
It was so cool. I wonder if the mutants have anything like this, or if any other like telepathic group has some kind of like breakdown, or if this is just the standard breakdown.
I mean, they might now. Yeah, what would you rate? Oh, you said 4.5, right?
Yeah, definitely a 4.5.
I'm here for another stellar series. There's a lot of good stuff this week. Speaking of, our next book on the list is Black Widow #9. The Eisner winning series.
Yes, the Eisner winning series.
Kelly Thompson and Elena Casagrande, and there was one more artist on this too. They like switched. I'll get their name in a second.
It's Rafael de la Torre.
Yes, boom. Who like complimented Elena Casagrande really well.
Really, really
like,
well, yeah.
The styles are a little bit different, but the way they both do their spreads and like the fight scenes throughout was great. The first 4 pages of this comic were everything. That scene of Natasha like seeing the dead Yelena and then the guys grabbing her and she's like, hold on, like stop. Like
yeah.
Like you need to focus. Like you got all these people and you gotta say this girl, like what you about to do, and then just like boom, knocking them all out and getting
when she like tapped her widow. when she tapped her like widow bite thing gauntlets on her wrist and like did that laser thing and and ripped around, that was so dope. This series is, I mean, I don't know, there hasn't really been a bad issue.
There hasn't been. So I will say the only thing that gets me is like while I do love the banter between Yelena and Natasha a lot of times, sometimes I do feel as though it's like, all right, like girl, you dying. You need to like bring it down a couple of notches. So for those who are also reading along, so even though Yelena kind of dies at the end of the last issue, the girl who they rescued, she has electric powers, and so she shocks Yelena. She shocks Yelena back to life. They go back to their headquarters where they also run into Anya, who's Spider-Girl, who's been running undercover missions for Natasha. She lets her know like, hey, my cover's been blown, but I got the serum. We can kind of track these guys down. And that was one of the times where I was kind of like, all right, Yelena and Natasha need to stop talking.
Right.
Like,
I actually appreciated that. I think Lucy said that to them. No, in the car. She's like, y'all shut up.
I got weird. So I agree with that. But again, and I think that's kind of where De La Torre stepped in. But again, the art just looked great. That scene of Yelena, Spider-Girl, and Natasha like fighting all the goons in the church. It's hot. This is a hot comic.
Really great. I really liked the moment where earlier in the issue when Yelena was jumping out of the window with Lucy, And Black Widow was like, okay, I've got a parachute, but it can only carry you two. I'll meet you guys down there. And she just like jumps down and they land and she picks them up in the car. And Lucy's like,
how'd you do that? And Elena was like, girl,
don't ask no questions. Just get in the car.
Just get in the car. Like, just know. She does this all the time. It's just like, no, I appreciate that too. Because that's truly how it be sometimes. It's just like, that's what the spies do. What would you rate this issue?
I'm definitely giving this a 4 out of 5.
I think I would actually give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really, really like this issue a lot. Those first 4 pages of just like that whole scene. Like, that felt like I was watching a movie.
Really, it felt like a movie. I was truly like, I was like rooting for her.
I was like, focus, bitch. I was like, get up. I was like, get up, because I was like, you gotta move. So definitely, like, hi, congratulations to this series for all the success it has. May it continue to thrive and prosper and go on for 50 plus issues.
Yes.
Next up on the list is Shang-Chi number 3, and it's from Jean Lewin Yang and Dyke Ruin. And so I'm sticking with this book for a little bit longer. It's trying to.
Okay.
It's trying to. You know, it's building up Shang-Chi and his family. So for those who have not been reading Shang-Chi, basically he has discovered he has a lot of family. His dad, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and so he's got like a lot of half siblings all around the world. So we come into this issue, we've just discovered a new one. This girl, they call her the Lake Witch. She uses this flute and she's creating like these solid green constructs, and she like protects the people of the town. So they like, the locals are trying. No, these tourists. I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Something like that, yeah. And so some tourists are trying to take a video of her, and like the locals like, no, we don't allow people to let information about her go out. She protects us. We keep her secret. But another girl is secretly recording, so info of her gets out anyway. And now people are coming to like try and get her out. They're saying she's evil. She's doing all this stuff, of course. So we find out she is one of Shang-Chi's half siblings, and that she didn't.
That's so many.
5 now, like out there. And so this one, she was sent away to study mystic arts rather than martial arts, but I still assume she learned a little bit of martial arts somewhere along the line, because she does they show some scenes of her fighting every now and again. But the dad ends up sending her away to be like killed by one of Shang-Chi's half brothers who he works with now, and he didn't do it, so he just left her in that forest or wherever she's at. And so they go to find her. She thinks they're coming to like finish the job and finally kill her, because when he didn't, he took a piece of her flute, and so it's like a magically linked flute, so it was trying to find the other half. When they run into her, though, they also run into Wolverine. And Wolverine's like, I'm here to get one of my people, because like the sister says something to Wolverine. She's like, you know, you people are always jumping in and butting your heads in and stuff that doesn't pertain to you. And Shang-Chi's like, calm down with that "you people" comment. And Wolverine's like, I'm here for my people, actually.
Okay.
We find out that the sister is a mutant. And that's why all of these people are like out there protesting and trying to get her killed. He's like, they want mutant blood. And Wolverine let her know, you know, you can come to Krakoa and be with your people. And Shang-Chi's like, no, we need her. So they all kind of get into a little fight. Afterwards, Shang-Chi and the sister kind of just talk for a minute. He lets her know that he's reforming what the group was about, and he knows that's what she used to do, and that's why the father tried to send her out, plus her being a mutant, because, you know, he didn't like that. His other 2 half-siblings even make a comment about how the father used to tell them mutants were bad people, and they were trying to take over the economy. And so they got... Exactly. So they got a little prejudice. They're like, we can't have a mutant joining the ranks of our organization. But nonetheless, after the sister and Shang talk, she agrees to go with them. She doesn't go to Krakoa, though Wolverine tells her, whenever you want to come, pop one in. And someone approaches her later on at the headquarters and is basically like, going to turn her against Shang-Chi and them, you can tell. But he says that power is to transform music into solidified light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna deal with that. In the next issue, Shang-Chi is fighting the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
So you should pop
Oh,
in.
maybe I might pop in for that one.
Pop in for issue number.
Okay. I wonder why he would be fighting them.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I mean, again, I think this whole series is about expanding Shang-Chi's, just legacy in the MU, kind of reaffirming his relationships with a lot of the characters because you kind of realize Shang-Chi has been around a lot. He's been on a lot of different teams. He actually does know all of these people. Now Fantastic Four popping up.
Oh, that's
Shang-Chi,
cool.
he's
Oh,
around.
I forget how like cemented he is in this.
So I think this is a series is doing a pretty good job in just reaffirming that because every time somebody sees him, they're just like Shang-Chi, like I know you. What's going on?
Mm.
um,
What would you
so
rate
it's
this?
cool to see. I would rate this a 3.5 out of 5. I think the art's
Okay.
nice, the action scenes are really well rendered. Good stuff all around. Next up on the list is Cable number 12. I believe this was the finale from Jerry Jang and
Yes.
Phil Noto. Please tell us
Yes.
all about it.
So,
Because I did not see it.
I figured you didn't. And honestly, like I ended up sticking with this because I had already like
About
was
the whole
invested
series.
in it. Yeah. I was already invested in this, so I decided to stick with it. Even though like again, this has a lot of the things that I'm not really that into as far as like time travel and clones and all that. But like honestly, overall, over the 12 issues, this was a fun series about like Kid Cable. And you walk away from it either liking Kid Cable or liking old Cable. But either way, like you have some kind of opinion on either one of those. And this one, you get old Cable fighting Strife. Excuse me. He ends up bringing in some reinforcements, and you have this really cool splash page of pretty much all the Summers and Deadpool. Deadpool, Jean, Hope, Rachel. Jean's doing this kind of cool telekinetic force field thing on this tank that they're riding in. So, Jean fans, there you go.
Oh, that's probably why they like this series.
Yes,
I had
she
a
uses
Gene
her
fan.
telekinesis in this.
I had a Gene fan tell me that this book was really good. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, and there's a lot of like telepathy in it, and it looks cool. Um, then I don't mind Noto's art, and I think that sometimes his interiors can be a little static. But again, I think that for this send-off issue, those moments were great because you get some Kid Cable as he's getting ready to leave. He is breaking up with Esme, but like they are really coming to terms with each other. She reads his mind and she sees that like how much they liked each other. She takes his necklace from him, and so, like, she can always have it. You end up later finding out that as she got older, she kept that necklace and is dating, I assume, that same Kid Cable. I don't know. There was a lot of time, like, hopping in this that I was confused on by the end. But whatever. Also, you find out, though, that this entire, like, time that Kid Cable had been around, that he had been monitored by telepaths because Scott, Cyclops, Emma, none of them were sure if he was actually a clone of Strife or if he was Strife himself. So the entire time he had been like under telepathic watch by all of them before he left. So we find out that like Esme, she started off actually wanting to be around him, uh, and because of that, like he was the mission, but then she like of course fell in love with him. So that was an interesting reveal, but whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of Cable, old Cable at
I don't think
all. I
anybody
actually end up
is.
liking. I think older Cable has got fans. People who love the '90s and like X Force and all that.
So I think my thing about Cable is like I never hear anybody, even like the Cable fans. I never hear anybody ever saying like, "Oh yeah, like this is a Cable story you got to check out." I
Mm.
think, or if they say you got to check it out, it's not necessarily for Cable himself. It's for like the other people in the book. It's for even that one Cable series I do remember reading from Dwayne Straczynski, I believe his name was. I only read that book because of Bishop. Bishop was chasing Hope.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and it was like, but it's like it wasn't because of Cable. It was because of Bishop
No, I
and
like
Hope.
seeing, but like the whole chase.
Yeah, and like all the other people in it. So I think that's just always kind of been my thing about Cable when there's like, oh, there's a book about him. It's like I have to like the characters around Cable to actually read a book about him. And
Mm.
this one had the Summers, and it's like that's not my favorite.
I'm more of a House of M myself, but I thought this was going to change my mind
You
on that,
like
but
this song.
whatever. Ooh, that's a.
You like the numbers. Now, what would you rate this issue?
I would give this issue honestly like a 3 out of 5. It was solid. It was a nice send off for Kid Cable. I liked the art and the coloring and everything, and the writing was good. Everyone got some really cool moments within the book as well. So yeah, I think it was pretty solid.
Okay. So before we get to these last two books, I do want to say, remember, I had a lot of books, so I'm not going to talk about everything today, but I do want to give a couple quick shout outs to some other series that came out, like Action Comics. Um, let me check that. Number 1033 came out this week. Strange Adventures. Superman, the Son of Kal-El was a new series from Tom Taylor that started this week. The Mighty Valkyries number 4, which is kind of moving a little bit slow, but I think it's only one more issue left, so whatever. Please go check those out. The final issue of The Other History also came out. I
Yes,
honestly didn't get a
yes.
chance to read that just because I know it's going to be a very dense read, but I'm
Me
definitely probably
neither.
going to talk about that next week, so be prepared. Because it's
Hmm.
light. I mean, it's Thunder.
It's Thunder.
And like Thunder's my girl.
Hmm.
It's fierce.
I've started.
Uh,
I started. I wasn't able to finish it because like, oh, child, I got so
okay.
much to read. But like, it was really good so far.
I'm excited. I'm
And
excited.
he the
I love
the
it.
way he talks about, he actually also brings it full. We'll talk about it next week. It's
I'm excited. Okay, I'm excited. Oh my gosh. Okay. So hold on, really quick. Next up on this list is the Beta Ray Bill number 5. Now this was the final issue of this miniseries from Daniel Warren Johnson, and baby, let me tell you, Beta Ray Bill is nobody cooler. I'm
Mm.
sorry, like this is only 5 issues, guys. If you never read a Beta Ray Bill story in your life, please go and read this 5 issue miniseries from Daniel Warren Johnson. It is great from start to finish. And this big issue is just a big fight scene between Bill and Surtur. Bill's kind of like sees him. He's like, "You killed my home world. You killed all these people I love. Like I'm about to beat you down." Surtur's honestly like 100 feet tall, and so he's knocking Bill down. He's like, "What can you do to me?" And Bill's like, "You know what? You're 100." He's like, "You're so much bigger than me. Of course you can do that." He's like, "How about we fight like mortals? Come down here." So Surtur's like, "Okay." And so he
Okay.
shrinks down to his size, and they just start fighting.
Okay.
And like the fight is so big and bombastic, and the shockwaves are like doing all this stuff that Scuttlebutt, who has this humanoid form, is able to like use the shockwaves as energy. She creates this giant like mega cannon for Scourge the Executioner to use to shoot Surtur through the chest to like help Bill win, because honestly he's kind of kicking Bill's ass. But like when he does that,
I
like
mean, it's
Scourge like
Surtur, so
yeah, Scourge even like cries. He's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for like giving me the opportunity to use such a beautiful weapon." And then, like the art is just so beautiful. It's Have you ever seen Mad Max Fury Road?
yes.
It feels like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like big, intense. It's just action heavy. It's beautiful. Pip does get hurt severely trying to save Bill, but they managed to blow off Surtur's arm in the process. Again, they end up beating him. Bill gets the sword that he came, the Twilight Sword, which is able to turn him back into his like normal Corbinite form, so he doesn't just look like the Horseman anymore.
Oh,
The
cool.
Valkyries come back to get Surge, take him back to Valhalla. At the end of it, Pip is saying, like, "Oh, Bill, you're back to your human self. How do you feel? This is what you wanted. You must feel amazing." And there's a shot of Bill looking in the mirror, and he's like, "Yeah, it's everything I've ever wanted," but he still sees the horse face,
Oh.
and it's like really sad. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like he's just so unhappy. I love.
It's like you finally got what you wanted, but it was the other version of yourself that you really needed to be.
Yeah, it's just like you were fine. Like everyone was accepting you for you. It's like, why are you still hiding behind this mask? And this is just a really, and it's like so interesting to see how Daniel Warren Johnson has really still captured all of this emotion and all of this like kind of insecurity that Bill has about himself and his appearance and how he looks and how he is perceived, but also still having him like overcome it in different ways, but still it being a big battle for him. So it's great. This is a great book. I want a part 2. Like seriously.
Okay. Yes. Same
I would.
team.
Same team. I mean, it's only one guy.
Oh, well, okay. That's true. Yeah.
He draws and writes the book. But I would definitely love part 2 of this because it was hot. I would rate this. This would be another like 5 out of 5 for me. This series as a whole, this 5 issue miniseries as a whole, was a 5 out of 5.
Oh,
Never a
that's right.
bad issue.
Yes.
Shout out to the great Doom. And our final issue on the list is a fantastic one here, and we have a S.W.O.R.D number 7 from Al Ewing and Stefano Cassell.
Yes.
Now, I'll actually, I'm gonna let you take.
Are you ready to enjoy your time in space?
Are you ready to enjoy magic?
Oh no.
Because that's what's happening in space right now.
You know, I will
And if
say
you
that
want to talk about it, we can talk about
it. Magic will always be great for the visual and a fantastic punching bag for the science people to come in and use, because what more do you need other than, like, you know, the mindless ones to beat up? Or, you know, Wicked gets stabbed with with that sword.
And another S.W.O.R.D that disrupts magic out in space, and then you have this conversation with Doom and Storm, and they're even talking. He even says it. He's like, "What are your technopaths?" He's like, "Magic in name already." It's just,
It's not magic.
To accept
that
you love.
No. Anyway, we start this story off with we get this big flash warning that there's this big emergency that went out to everyone, but certain people haven't really received it. So we find out that, like, Earth was notified, but nobody responded. So something was fishy was going on there. Hulkling has released Captain Glory from prison. He was in prison from Empire, which I think this is really cool that, like, I'm assuming this is Ewing pretty much using a lot of his own stuff, because Captain Glory was created in Avengers No Surrender that Ewing was a part of the writing team for. So, and to have him be used in Empire and now here, I think that's cool that we can kind of follow him throughout these stories and see where these kind of all connect out in space. So Hulkling and Captain Glory are pretty much fighting all these mindless ones, while Doom and Storm are having dinner on Araco and pretty much just, you know, catching up, chopping it up. Doom is basically there. He is. He was pretty much there to tell the mutants that you are dabbling in something you may not know what you're doing, because he reveals that the Mysterium is actually from the White Hot Room, which, like, shout out to the mutants for figuring out how to get there on their own without Jean, you know.
So she's lost something else.
Oh no. So I thought that was interesting, and the way that Doom kind of broke it down, where he says, you know, the mutants have now gone to heaven and taken a piece of the clouds with them. However, that when he did that, he wore gloves, and I thought that was an interesting callback to pretty much when he did in Secret Wars, both the original and the Hickman version, where he took power from the Beyonder and like rewrote the world and did all that. So I thought that was a really cool callback. They had pretty much a lot of, like, cool callbacks with each other. Shade fest all around.
It was great. And this was a Storm I love. Like, I think we've talked about this before, but I love a cocky Storm. I love a Storm that, like, walks into the room and she can be as warm and loving as she wants to be, but, like, her character should always have a presence.
Exactly.
I think I talk about that Hickman issue of X-Men where Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse went to the UN, and, like, Apocalypse was saying things like, you know, I am the reason that the world was destroyed and all this stuff like that. Like, that's how Storm should talk. Like, she should be like, I am a goddess, and it's like, you are lucky to look upon me, and it's like, and I'm happy to give you that grace. And so it's like, when I see this type of stuff with Doom, I was just like, he tried the right one. Exactly. She can actually play that game.
And she shut it down with that lightning bolt, and I love that. This is exactly the kind of Storm that, like I said, I've said before that Storm had been boring for a long time. This Storm is not boring. Storm has pretty much just been like a bird in a cage for a long time, and her becoming the Regent of Soul is giving her something to do outside of whatever she was doing on Earth, which was nothing. So
I would read a Storm Solo book now if it was written by Al Ewing
yes, and about her
about
being like,
the
yes,
region
the
of
region of
Soul
Soul.
with the Great Ring as like the side characters. Like I would read
Yeah,
that solo. Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. Also shout out to Abigail Brand in this book because I'm into her. That's the girl.
So we get back into the whole war with the mindless ones, and we find out that the reason that the Avengers and other people hadn't come, it was because Abigail Brand had intercepted that transmission that went out to them, so that they never got it, because she wanted S.W.O.R.D to actually be the ones to come in and help, because she needed to have that leverage over Hulkling, so as whenever they get ready to present in front of the entire Galactic Council, they'll have the Alliance on their side. So, I understand her scheming, but that's gonna come back and bite her. You know it.
I'm here for it. Abigail Brand and Maria Hill are my type of women because they just do what needs to be done sometimes. They don't mind being the bad guy. I always
Mm.
respect a person who knows I am the bad guy, but I'm okay with that.
I didn't notice that you like those types of characters until you recently said that. I don't. Those kind of characters, I'm always want to be like, why don't you just be honest instead of lying?
Because
And we could all be in on the secret. It doesn't have to be a secret.
but they wouldn't be, and that's the problem.
I really liked Cecil in Invincible. Same
Yeah,
thing.
those are the right people. Those are the right people into it.
I
It's for the
would
greater
rate
good though, so
yeah, at the end of the day, or for them.
most of the time.
Yeah. I would rate this issue a 4.5 out of 5.
Agreed. Also another 4.5 out of 5. Excellent series. I really want. I'm ready. I love it. I do kind of feel bad that I feel like this has been getting roped into a lot of crossovers already. Even though I know the last
Yeah.
Annihilation, out even event, but King in Black we just had X of Sword. I mean not X of Swords. Hellfire Gala was there, which wasn't really
I
like.
mean, technically, X of Swords this spun out of X of Swords.
Oh yeah. So but that's happened to a couple of Al's books before because I remember that was the thing with his new Avengers.
Oh yeah.
That was all events basically, and his
Oh
Mighty.
yeah. And his Ultimates.
It's kind of always happening to him, which is so. I mean, and he does really well at making the events fit into his story, and
They do.
so it doesn't really feel like it's being taken over, but it's just always in something. So I guess I just kind of wanted to let it be its own thing for a little bit. Uh, I did not enjoy Hulkling, and I realized this issue a big problem. I mean, everybody knows I don't like Hulkling. I love Wiccan. Wiccan love his man, so I deal with Hulkling, but I do not like Hulkling. And uh, this issue kind of amplified that for me because when did he become such this decisive, just leader type of character?
Maybe this is who he is when his man not around.
No, it's not.
His
Because
man who
his
got to
man
be
always has
worried about his man crying, so
So
now
that's
he
the
gets
thing.
to do
That's the
something.
thing. His man always has to come and save him because Teddy's always been the character who does things that gets in over his head. And then and I was like, maybe I just missed something. But I was like, Teddy's never been by himself. Wiccan has been by himself. He's been in Strike Force. He led the Avengers for a little bit of time. He's helped the Magic folks out in the times of crisis. Whenever you see Hulkling on his own, he is failing or he's involved in some space war that he doesn't actually want to be a part of because he doesn't want to be a leader. He's never led any teams. He's not really that smart. He's not tactical. But then you get into this issue, and I don't know. I didn't read Empire, so maybe it happened there. He got these skills, but it's oh, he's all of a sudden Empire space. He's king of space, and he's leading war nations and calling for the Armada. Who gave you these skills?
It seems as though as soon as he became king of space, that he became way more ready is the word I guess I could say, for stuff. But I don't know.
It
Again,
just doesn't.
maybe
It
this
just
is who
doesn't
he is
feel.
when he's not away from his man. I don't know.
It just doesn't feel earned to
Mm.
me. And but I mean, I also don't like Hulkling, so I don't really care enough to whatever.
His magic sword broke, but I'm not
His
surprised.
magic.
Most magic things always end up failing.
They all you see, they almost get you. They
Just saying.
almost get you. They almost get
Saying.
you. But those were the books of the weeks. Let's go ahead and take a little break, and then we'll
Let's
come
do
back.
it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the panel section of another relaunch. And this week, wanted to have a little quick discussion on the teen speak and dialogue. So you just heard me talk about Rocket and Static and this entire Milestone relaunch and kind of the differences between someone of the current generation writing a character versus someone who is from a previous generation writing a character. And these characters are young and writing their voices. Now, I have not been shy about saying that, like, I do not like hearing teen characters sound like 40-year-old men from 1997. I think that's weird. But it seems to like consistently happen. So I wanted to talk about like how do we fix that? Like how do you fix a character or how do you write a character to kind of have a better voice for themselves and still sound young and not have like, the Bendis speak where everything is equipped.
Um, Honestly, I don't really think it's something that you can fix. I think it has to be a thing that's in the writer. And honestly, I think for the writer to be able to do that, you have to actually talk to young people. And I think that's just a big problem for a lot of people. And I know that can be hard for a lot of people because who's coming into contact with a 16-year-old child like on
Right.
a day-to-day basis? You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure someone has like family members or something like that. And I think it's just one of those things. I talk to my little cousin all the time. She just turned 13. Happy birthday, Kennedy. She's the one who likes Black Widow.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Did you
you
like
know,
the movie?
she did like the movie. She tried to
Oh,
fake
good.
like Yelena wasn't that girl, but
Yeah.
uh, uh, but I talk like she and I talk about Black Widow, and the thing is like I know what kids say because that's what she says to me, and it's just like you just have to be open to that and really kind of engage. And it's of course it's never going to be something that I'm going to say in my adult life, but it's just recognizing that this is for the kids, and
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah, I feel like the way that you kind of like what you say, you can't really fix it per se, but the way the writers can kind of enhance the way that they write those kids is just talking to some kids or just probably doing some kind of like research or whatever, or just
Even actually, you don't even have to do all of that. Honestly, just have them talk normally.
or that too, yes.
It's
But then sometimes people will say that the kid ended up sounding like an adult.
my thing is like, and I guess that's the thing too. It's like when I say talk normally, it's how do you talk to your friends? Even as an adult, we all have like jokes and things like that that we say. There's just a sense of I guess youthfulness that comes along with it, and
Hmm.
just that and being having like just write natural dialogue. You don't have to add the slang because again, these children characters these days are not going to be saying things that we used to say in the 90s. Aqualad, as a 13-year-old 2 years ago, should not be telling me that his favorite band is the Wu-Tang Clan. I don't believe it.
No,
I
absolutely not.
don't believe it. And it's okay. And it's like, honestly, you don't have to even name drop. And I think that's what it really comes down to. They start name dropping things and they
Yeah.
start giving you these references that feel very old and feel very dated. And so it's just kind of like that lets you know you don't talk to any young people.
Or things when things feel like super forced. I remember once there was a panel where um a character was just talking about Beyonce and Jay-Z. And it's like, why would they even bring this up?
So that happened in what the Falcon book that came out, and this was a series that suffered from exactly what you're talking about, writing teen characters. And that Falcon series that came out that was written by Rodney Barnes, it introduced Patriot, Rayshawn Lucas. The worst thing about that book was Patriot. because of how and the things he would say, they would be like in the middle of a fight. They're like fighting vampires in Harlem or something, or Detroit, wherever he took him. He took him out of his hometown. And he's talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce and like Jordans and all of these, and it's just like, why? It's this,
right.
I don't even talk to my 13-year-old cousin about Beyonce. Because why? Like, she and I are not looking at Beyonce in the same type of world, or like
or having that kind of conversation in this type of context. Like,
it just
who would
doesn't make
relate
sense.
like that. You know, in this most recent Icon and Rocket issue. What'd you say?
Is Beyonce not making music for a 13-year-old?
Exactly.
Like, shut up.
Exactly. In this Icon and Rocket issue that just launched, Raquel is having this conversation with Icon, and she's trying to convince him to be a superhero. And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be a superhero. Like, why would I want to do that?" And Raquel gives this speech about Martin Luther King and how and about how Martin Luther King is a superhero and how like that's what he would have wanted. And it's like, what teenage girl would use would like bust out into a Martin Luther King speech to convince someone to be a superhero today?
They have new heroes and like new people who they look up to. Like, that's probably when they would talk about Beyonce, honestly.
Right.
Like, to be perfectly honest, I love a good Martin Luther King speech thrown in the comments. So this is my thing with Milestone. I think I have come to realize I love the idea of Milestone and like what it represents and like what it did for those creators more than I actually like the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that's why I've kind of like not been reading the Icon Rocket series. But I think again, it's a big part of that. You have this world that's supposed to be full of younger characters that is written by people trying to feel like they're younger characters, and it just doesn't come off.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if they're trying to like recapture the essence of whatever the character was giving in the 90s or something, but that's
it's not the 90s anymore. It's like the 90s
we gotta let it go.
I don't know. The 90s had some good stuff. They might be on something. I get it a little bit.
I mean, oh, for sure. Hello, I'm born in the 90s. I get that. But like, I think the grip that it has on certain things is just, it's time to let some of that go, especially when you are using it in relation to like dialogue.
And it's so interesting to me that the 90s has such a chokehold because, I mean, I get it. I guess the cartoons were probably at the most popular time then, but it's like, I think about now, the 2000s and 2010s was probably like one of the best years for comics.
Yes.
And then, of course, you know, we get the MCU in between all of that. And so to see that more people are still clinging on to the 90s. It's like, you know, like we've actually had like really good stories come around since then. Like, and it's like they're referenced a little bit here and there, but still we always just go back to the 90s. It's crazy.
But I've seen articles talk about like our generation and like millennials having hard times letting shit go. So that's probably why we are still stuck in the 90s because and again, I think, you know, I saw something recently that really broke it down when it comes to like nostalgia, where it is you don't really miss that thing. You miss the way that thing made you feel at that time. And I think that is with a lot of nostalgia things, especially like the X-Men animated series. Like, I think a lot of people miss the way that the X-Men made them feel at that time and not really like the show because that wasn't very great.
You know, that episode where Jean like first turned into the Phoenix and they were like battling the Shi'ar and then she dies on the planet.
Oh, the Phoenix saga gave. Let's not get
I'm not gonna lie there. And the team like all gives a part of their soul to like revive her.
only part people liked of the series.
What an iconic moment in like animated history. I think about that all the time, honestly. I don't know why Jean falling has been so impactful when it was really that scene. The like ball like going through all their chest and they're like, It's like they're giving their life for her. It was beautiful. That was a
Yeah.
really good too.
Yeah, that the Phoenix Saga is iconic. I mean, it's probably the most talked about portion of that show. But like again, the Phoenix has been carrying things for much too long. It's time to let
We
it
just went
go.
back to the white hot room. Betsy said it once in Uncanny X-Men when House of M was going on and like her and Rachel got trapped in the white hot room. Betsy was like, does everything have to revolve around that bloody bird?
That's a real question.
She was just like, what's going on? Rachel's like, oh, it's the white hot room, the heart of the Phoenix, and she's just like, come on. It's like at some point. Although again, S.W.O.R.D did it really well. I was into that.
Oh yeah, that was cool. When they went, that was really cool.
Oh, it's weird. Why don't we ever see Jean's family? Aren't they supposed to be in the white hot room?
They were dead and killed.
But like she took them in at the end. That was like a thing. It was like Rachel was like at the end of that story, at the end of the end of Grey's storyline, after like the She-Hulk kills all of her family, Rachel is like crying, looking out, and you see the spirit of like the grandmother and some other people walking into the white hot room, and like there's an image of Jean above them.
Oh, I just assumed they went to like heaven. I don't know. I don't know if it was like supposed to be the white hot room.
I don't think Jean would be in heaven. Because she, I mean, also, but no, because she's in the white hot room, so that's why.
Okay. You sure? Because I think you mentioned she'd be in the other place.
Annie.
We don't know where Annie is. If her parents ever came looking for her.
For Jean?
Yeah.
For revenge? For killing their daughter? I would.
Or just like, hey, what happened to Annie?
Jean probably wiped their memories.
Oh yeah, she was pretty powerful back then, so give it to her. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the way that we kind of fix the dialogue with stuff is really just like let them speak and try not to have them, drop too many like pop culture references because it sounds really forced. There was a recent Truth and Justice issue, which is a digital series by DC that they put out. I don't know if it's weekly or how often it comes out, but there was a Vixen segment, and like I love Vixen, so I instantly got the series, even though like you warned me against it because it was written by Jeff Thorne, but I picked it up anyway because I like Vixen, and of course, like she was talking about Idris Elba in it, and talking about throwing hands and stuff, and it's like, stop it.
It's so interesting, and again, I think it really just comes across of how it's done and how they write the characters, because I think about that Future State Aquaman issue with Jackson when he was training Andy, and they're like going through all of their different training segments. One of his training segments was called Throw Hands. But again, like that feels like something Jackson would say. He's a part of that age demographic.
Right.
Vixen is not.
It just felt weird. So yeah, I just want to have that little talk.
I think slang just doesn't have to be used at all. Again, I think once you really try too hard to make these characters sound like they're a part of something younger, then it automatically feels forced. Because when you think about it, even when you were younger, how often did you say some of these words to people in real life?
Right, in the middle of conversation like this.
Yeah, like and you weren't being like ironic or just trying to be funny. It's and then the people who do say it sound ridiculous. So.
Again, it's like, who talks like this?
Like just talk. Like this. Like, how do you talk to your friends right now? Write that down.
Right.
Unless you and your
At
friends
the
are
appropriate
fun,
point.
then don't write that down.
Yeah, keep that away.
And then
Oh,
and just really quickly to end it off, don't have the aliens use it either. Because I always think about
yeah.
that one issue.
Oh my God. Space.
Why would an alien know what a twink is?
Like,
Why?
please get that out of here. We have
Don't.
the examples of what not to do, so please don't. So
Who do
please don't.
do you have any like comic book writers who you think do teen voices very well though?
Um, Kelly Thompson.
Shocking.
I know, shocking, but like she does do pretty good teen characters.
I guess she's got Lucy and she's got Anya right now, and she's done like Nico and some other.
hmm
Okay. She's got a track record.
And Hawkeye.
Okay, Bishop. Yeah.
hmm
Okay. I would definitely give Gillen. Anybody who's done a Young Avengers run, I think, did pretty well.
Yes.
Currently, Rainbow Rowell, she does the Runaways. I think she does the young adult. She's also a young adult novel writer, I believe. So she's got that.
You know, you have actually talked about that series before, and I've never heard you say anything about there being like teen speak or anything like that in it.
Because they're just talking. They're just talking like normal people, I guess. Normal kids just have a conversation. They get mad, like they're not throwing like a Beyonce reference at you for no reason, or it's just like if they don't even. There's like I'm listening to music. It's like, oh,
right.
okay, cool. And
They're
just
not
going
making
about,
like TikTok references or something.
Yeah, no, it's not needed. The story's good, but she's a good one. She's really. I think I might like Rainbow Rowell a lot.
Okay.
I'm not honestly a huge Runaways fan, but every time I've kind of like dipped in and out of that series to just pick up an issue or three, it's good. It's hot.
I would like to see them on some other characters then, because I'm not the biggest Runaways fan either, but like I've heard great things about the work, so I would love to see them on something else.
Yeah, I want her to do Avengers. I actually want Kelly Thompson to do Avengers, but I also want Rainbow Rowell to do Avengers.
Oh, Kelly Thompson on Avengers would be great. But she can't write everything. You know?
That is true. Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, that was this little panel. Let's take a break, and then we will come back for more.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to another panel, everyone. Hello. No, this is another panel. This is another reread part 2.
Yes. Part
No
2,
Surrender.
everybody, of rereads of Avengers No Surrender from issue 9 to the end to issue 16, and this is a lot of fun. Again. Like I said from the last part 1, I thought that this has been like a really like fun and bombastic like event. I would love to see this like animated and turned into something.
This is agreed. This is probably one of the premier Avengers events of the 2010s.
For sure.
I can't think of anything else that was probably more well received than this around the time. Like, and again, I think we've talked about like event fatigue and how we were getting a lot of stuff with the Avengers at one point in time, and it was just kind of dragging on. And then No Surrender came around, and it was like, oh, like you said, this was fun. It was exciting. Again, you brought in a lot of Avengers who you didn't see before. Although I'm still kind of upset we didn't get Firebird.
You know, reading this again this time around and knowing that you are a Firebird fan, I thought, wow, she could have made an appearance, because they were very strategic about this event. You could tell that like they had it written in story to take out certain characters, because obviously if you have the Avengers and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, there's not too much of a threat for like these two characters that are used in this. or
Right.
like with they would have figured out the whole Voyager thing a lot sooner, you
Okay.
know. So they were very strategic about which characters they used. So they could have easily, thrown Firebird in there.
They could have threw my sis a bone. She's like has relationships with a lot of these characters. She's like we need. I really hope she comes back. They gave Echo the Phoenix. That is
They
so
did.
weird.
They did.
You have a Firebird. You have a literal Firebird.
Hmm.
I
I also thought in this book that Nadia in this could have been Firestar. That could have been cool.
Oh yeah, that would have been
When
nice.
she was with Jarvis and like doing all that, because Firestars needs some stuff to do too.
I really
And
like
she's like,
Firestar too.
associated with the Avengers.
She doesn't get enough love. I kind of love Firestar. I think
Hmm.
she is the original like Kitty Pride,
Yeah, that young girl thing. Yeah.
that young girl motif. She was a Hellion. She got her mutant. She's on the X-Men. She doesn't do anything anymore,
It's a shame
but
that they have. Again, this just reminded me how many characters that like Marvel actually has, and again that are kind of missing. Like I said, like where's Quicksilver, and I mean Scarlet Witch isn't in the book. Falcon. I don't even
yeah.
think Captain America Steve Rogers isn't in the book right now.
Yeah, I think his book just ended with Coast. He does have that little mini series going on right now, the United States of Captain Americas, which I actually picked up the second issue
Mm.
because Sam is in that. So like, there's a network of like people claiming the title of Captain America going around. But there's also like a doppelganger Captain America who's like attacking the young people being Captain America. It's not that great.
Okay.
But it's nice to see these people again. I did want to say this features a lot of your faves though, so it makes sense why you would like it so much.
It does. There's a lot of Wonder Man in this. So like I will say that this half was Hulk heavy compared to the first half. Like the first six issues were all about like the Hulk here. I want to say like issues like 9 through like I want to say 6 issues, but like the first few issues were all about the Hulk and him breaking out and wanting to break into the vault, and then we finally get like a little showdown between the Hulk and Wonder Man, and I will say that it was funny to see Wonder Man get called out on his pacifism by the Hulk,
Mhm.
while the Hulk is pretty much like beating into Wonder Man. And let's be honest, no one else there could have been able to take like those kind of punches from the Hulk. You know, shout out to my boy having the power to do
Uh,
that. But like he's punching him and he's, preaching on about like I won't fight you. Let's talk about this. We're friends. And the Hulk says, "Friends, like you're not my friend. You're an ego-driven guy from Hollywood who preaches pacifism because you can't get hurt. Look how powerful you are." And I thought that was funny for people, for someone to call him out on
and I still
his pacifism.
dragging.
Yeah. Hopefully after this he hasn't really appeared too much after this. And at the end of this event, he said that, I'm looking for a change of pace. So maybe
Mhm.
whenever someone brings him back, he won't be as
It was really interesting to see like how jumping ahead obviously how this ended off for some of the people and some of the things that they did. I think Sunspot was a really big example of that. He's one of the characters who pretty much thrived as an Avenger. And like
yeah.
you even see him kind of make a comment about how he's like one of the strongest mutants currently on Earth and he's helping like turn the wheel and stuff. And then at the end, we see him kind of leaving that Avenger life to go back to the X-Men. He's been using the what was it, Citizen V, Citizen Z,
V, I think. Or
V,
Z?
and then he's
What? Yeah.
and then like at the end he's like, oh, I'm call me Citizen X to kind of
Hmm.
show him going back to the X Men, which was like nice because now you think about where he's gone. He's about to be king of space soon. Hopefully, they should still do that.
Isn't I thought your boy's man is a
That
king of space.
he's like of that part of space. Hickman had Bobby up in space. He's trying to get with Deathbird. Like he's gonna be king of the
Right, right,
Shi'ar.
right.
Well, I guess they got he'll be king of space soon. I've heard
Mm,
it.
mm.
Destroy soon. That would be nice. Anyways, I like Sunspot as an Avenger though.
He's fun as an Avenger. Same with like Rogue. She's was really cool in this, using a bunch of different people's powers and
Mm.
stuff. They have some really great showcasings as Avengers and like being
And
superheroes in
leaders.
this.
and like
Yeah.
leaders. And again, I think a great thing that this series did was kind of emphasize that Falcon, Rogue, and Sunspot are like Avengers leaders. They're not
Yes.
just regular members of this team. It's like when they come into the picture, they're more than likely going to be running the mission or telling people what to do, and everyone's
Mhm.
going to kind of stand and respect that. And I thought that was just really great because again, the normal trinity of Steve, Iron Man, and I guess Carol, a little bit.
Thor.
Do people like follow Thor? Does he lead them? I feel
No.
like most Avenger stories I've ever read, it's either been Tony or
I
Iron
feel like
Man.
it's Tony or
I mean,
Steve.
Tony or Steve leading, but there's like
Yeah.
maybe
I don't know
Jane
if they,
actually. Wasp.
I guess maybe.
She's an original. Who do you guys think are the like trinity
Yeah,
of
you
leaders
could.
of the Avengers? Please let us know because I'm curious now. If
I'm
you
curious now too. Who you guys think is like their trinity of leaders?
outside of like obviously the supreme one is Falcon, Rogue, Sunspot, but like if obviously we know Steve is one, we know Tony's one. If you had to pick a third Avenger who you feel as though everyone would follow, who would it be?
Mhm.
Giant Man, Hank? Hasn't he like led the team before?
No. Yes. I know Scarlet Witch has. She had a run where she tried to lead. It failed. It did not. It did not.
I was gonna say I don't see that doing very
It didn't ever go very well.
well.
They
Okay.
didn't really listen to her like that. Carol's never led, but she's not a leader like that.
Well, she led the Ultimates. I guess because I think of like her leading the Ultimates and leading the charge in Civil War II,
You
and
always think of that.
it was her event.
Child.
um, and I guess being in charge of like Alpha Flight and stuff like that. I guess I don't really see her. I guess she's not an Avengers leader, but
Right. See what I'm saying?
I,
She's mostly like a member.
yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Maybe I think it was Ross. If you guys know the third person, let us know. Maybe it's just Tony and Steve. Maybe Monica,
Oh, that would be great. Oh, he's probably Monica.
or is it Black Panther now? He doesn't lead either, does he?
I feel like now they would probably pick Black Panther, but it should be Monica.
Monica. All right. Let us know if you guys agree and if you think Monica is also
Spectrum.
Spectrum. Yes, that like leader.
I did think that this was cool that it spun out with a bunch of different series after this.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of this part of No Surrender, we got a lot of mentions of the Green Door, and this is how the Immortal Hulk series kind of spun out of this. I didn't realize that going back and reading this that this is how that started because this is so long ago.
Al Ewing has just been working. Okay.
Yeah,
The man has been planting seeds all along the Marvel universe, and we are watching them come.
for real.
And it's just like I kind of feel like, and I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like he's starting to get to a point maybe where he might be like making his way out of comics a little bit, or
I
like
know, I
writing
know,
less.
I know.
Like,
I
do you
hate
feel
that.
that? Do you
Yeah,
feel that?
yeah.
Okay, I thought I was going crazy, but like, kind of where he is right now. He's been writing for a long time when you think about it.
Hmm.
And so a lot of stuff he's doing feels very big, but it's kind of like, all right, this is my last hurrah. Maybe I'll start focusing on some more creator-owned stuff, or just some other projects he has. But I would hope to be wrong. But
Hmm. I would love to be wrong because I keep wanting him to keep keep going.
he hasn't he
Um,
hasn't written my like. I still got a few characters I need him
I'm sure that's the list. So did you like events like this where it's kind of like this is just gonna be a big fun superhero event and we're gonna throw up some characters. This is literally a game. The stage is set as Earth is just the board for the game, and there's no real rhyme or reason for this. We're not
That's a
really.
sword.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
I
I do
guess
love a
yeah.
game event. Yeah, yeah. These are definitely up my alley. I like what
Yeah.
I guess for me, I like the unpredictability of it,
Hmm.
and it makes all of your heroes and the characters involved. They have to get like you start to see who your leaders are, the tactics that they have, how they come about it. It makes you get creative with it because again, if anything can happen, then how do you beat it, and then how they figuring it out. And I think this issue did a really good job, despite the length that it has. You never felt like it was dragging the plot or like
Yeah.
dragging the mystery, even though we knew who was behind it all very early on, the hero still found out pretty early on as well. It's like, or not necessarily even who it was by, but that it was a game, or that like
Mhm.
things weren't as they should be. You know, Rogue ended up zapping what's his face, Corvus,
Corvus
and
Glaive,
like
yeah.
yeah, and that's how she found out about it, and then other people said other things. So it was just like that's cool too.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think I do like events like this too, kind of where they have these opposite sides, but they are written in a way for the story for it to kind of make sense. So I guess kind of like a game, even with like Secret Wars, both the original and the reboot, where there are different sides, and like kind of like you said, both sides you get to see how they kind of strategize and stuff. I like that.
I
So
love a game of wits, a
yeah.
battle of wits. It's just
Hmm.
fantastic.
It's great. What would you rate this entire like event?
Ooh, as an entire thing, I think I would give it a strong 4 out of 5. I distinctly remember at the time of this coming out enjoying it.
Hmm.
I remember tweeting about it. I remember because it came out like on a weekly basis, and I remember saying at the time like it never feels like it's dragging along. It's continuously moving, and even when it does have a slower issues, it has really heartfelt, emotional beats with the characters. They feel impactful. It feels like everything matters. Again, I couldn't tell you Nadia from any of those other teen heroes at the time, but I know she cares about Jarvis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, Even Voyager, who was this character who was put in the game to kind of like throw the heroes off and be fake, you gotta actually start to care about her a little bit. She's a little useless. And her
Them teleporters, child.
Raven, it's a Raven all
It's a
over again.
Raven. Yeah,
That's
it's
all I
Raven.
was thinking about. But you know, you kind of start to care. And even when she leaves, you're kind of like, oh, maybe she'll come back and actually be a real Avenger one day. um, so definitely a strong 4 out of 5. Art was
Yeah.
great throughout. Character designs looked good. Action was there.
Hmm.
It was good.
Great pages, great dialogue. I thought that I would also give it a solid like 4 out of 5. It was really great, and it stood up to me. Some events don't, and I
Yeah.
feel differently about them when I read
Mhm.
them much later. But this one I could always see like still standing up and me still
Yeah.
enjoying much later.
A lot of cohesion. It had such a big cast, but you still felt like you saw everybody. Everybody had ample time to speak. Everybody had time to do something, show what they could. This was good.
Right? These have been gifts.
This was good.
These
Congrats
have
to
been
everyone
gifts.
involved. Congrats
Yeah.
to everyone involved.
Shout out to all of y'all. All right, y'all. So that brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Another Relaunch. You can find us also on Instagram at Another Relaunch. And you can also find us if you have any questions, concerns, you can send emails to anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on any social media platforms. I'm out there at Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You know, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe not so much on Instagram anymore. That kind of is like a dead site.
Truly.
But it's Keenan and
Truly.
LZ. No, there's an underscore at the end. Twitter's always.
She's fine. All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here, and we will see y'all next week.
Peace.